Xin chào. All right, so we're back for round 3 of moving to Southeast Asia. Now you're here. Now you've got money back home and you don't want to pay ATM fees taking out money at ATMs here. A lot of times rent is paid through transfers of banks here, and a lot of bills can be paid just by having a bank account here and transferring it to the person that needs the recipient. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to make friends with a Vietnamese. It can be a guy or a girl, but someone that you're relatively going to make friends with, because they're going to help you do a lot of this paperwork. I think you can go in and set up an account on your own. It's not as easy. I did it with Win. It took about 15 minutes. I set up a TechCom bank account. So I have the TechCom bank account, and I do a wire transfer from my Citibank account into my TechCom USD account. It cost me $35 from my bank to do it, and there's no fee from TechCom Bank to do it. And then from my USD account in TechCom, I transfer to my Dong account in TechCom. And then I have a debit card through TechCom that I can pull out the money, or I can just do transfers to pay my rent and electricity and internet and all that other stuff. So that's key that you get that set up. You know, I move a large chunk of money, so $35 pales in comparison to the, you know, they charge you an ATM fee on top of it, a foreign transaction fee. So pulling out 8 million can be as expensive as $10, depending on your bank, the transaction fee, and all that stuff. So the wire transfer is the way to go in having the account, because it just becomes that much more efficient. As far as having a credit card goes, I recommend the Capital One Silver card. It has no foreign transaction fees, and if you're paying it off every month, you don't have to worry about interest anyway. But that has no foreign transaction fees to any country, so it's a great credit card for traveling. You know, it's all I've really ever used for traveling. I have another card as well, but I only use the Silver card because it does such a good job on not getting you charged foreign transaction fees. And as far as a credit card goes, you don't want to hold debt longer than a month on your credit card. If you don't have the money to pay it, then don't use your credit card. That's not how they work. Yes, people think that that's how they work, but that's the quickest way to get yourself in debt or get behind and be owing money. Driver's license, same thing. It'll be really key to have a Vietnamese friend that can take the Vietnamese paperwork, translate it, and then put all your information in. It takes less than 15 minutes to get your driver's license. You just need a photocopy of your passport, and I think you need a picture, if I remember right. No, they take a picture. You just need a photocopy of your passport, and there's a photocopy place like in D1 right below where the driver's license place is. It costs around 80K, so like $3 to get it. It lasts as long as your visa lasts. So if you got a 1-year travel or business visa, it'll last to the date that expired. And then when you renew and get another long-term visa, you have to go back and get the driver's license again. It'll save you a load of time and headache from when you get pulled over. Especially if they're just randomly pulling you over to pull you over. You need to have your blue card, you need to have your driver's license, and you need to have your insurance. So if you have those 3, it's very tough for them to get a bribe off you unless you actually did something wrong. And that's a whole thing we'll talk about now, is the bribe system when driving around. You always need at least $1 million on you. Usually you should be able to get away with 100K to 200K if that's all you have in your wallet, and they believe that's all they have on you. So it's always good to have $1 million anytime you're driving around, just in case you get pulled over and the cop's a real stickler and really wants to get you, and you know, then you just pay the bribe and you're good. So driving around is pretty simple. If you want to see driving around, watch my Streets of Saigon videos. It's how I recommend you drive here. I do not recommend that you fall in to like how the Vietnamese drive and drive aggressive and fast and go around on all sides and no stopping no matter what. And if it's a one-way, go the wrong way, or if the sidewalk's quicker to take the sidewalk. As a foreigner, these are all things that can get you pulled over here. They will not pull over many Vietnamese for this. But a foreigner, they will pull over, and you're talking a 200 to 500K bribe is the usual amount. So these are just things you want to stay away from, in my opinion. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm just giving you experience from my time here. So you can take it how you want. You know, I've had on a couple of these videos, people just go insane with comments saying I'm wrong. So it's what I've learned, and going by what I've learned, I've done very good. I have not been pulled over. I've never had to pay a bribe. I've driven 3,000 kilometers here since I've been here in a year. So I think I'm doing a pretty smart thing, pretty wise. I got pulled over literally the first day I got my bike with Winnie because she had me go on the car traffic side, and the fee, our bribe, was 100K. So, and it took about 5 minutes. But that was not my fault. That was, bless her to death. But Winnie just didn't know where she was at and told me to go away. And from that day on, I learned that I have to pay attention and know where I'm going and not rely on the Windmaster. So back to the bank. You can pick any bank you want. I like TechCom. You cannot withdraw money at a cashier. You can't do anything with a cashier money-wise pulling out. You can investigate like a wire transfer or stuff like that, but you can't withdraw any money as a foreigner from a Vietnamese bank. You can only get the debit card and pull out from the ATM, which technically I don't even think you're supposed to be able to do that, but that's kind of like a loophole thing. So that's how I recommend you do, you know, your money. And transfer like 5 G's at a time. I mean, unless you just don't have 5 grand, but transfer large amounts so you don't waste money on that wire fee. Unless you have some bank that doesn't charge you a wire fee, which awesome, more power to you. I can tell you for a fact, I know an American Citibank account works very well with a TechCom Vietnamese bank account, just from my personal experience. So, yeah, there you go. That's on that. Driver's license, you definitely want to get. It's a key thing to survival here. You don't want to play with the driver's license. You want to have that. It'll save you a bunch of time on getting pulled over and them just getting a bribe every time because you just don't have the right paperwork. As far as buying a motorcycle goes, or a scooter, if you are a novice rider, if you've not ridden a motorcycle before or a scooter, I recommend you take a motorcycle safety class right now because you still have a year before you get here, in your hometown or wherever you're at, so you can understand how a motorcycle / scooter works. If you are a bike guy and you've already had a bike, I would recommend that you don't get a scooter here, that you get a small 150cc actual motorcycle, or even a 300cc motorcycle, like an MT3 or 290 Duke. Or for me, I could see the writing on the wall as I had already been driving around, you know, for months before I bought my bike, that traffic doesn't go fast ever, so there's nowhere to ever have a fast bike. So for me, I just went with the Yamaha MT-15. We got a good deal on it. It's paid off now. I just paid it off. So it's a good bike. It's got plenty of power, plenty of torque off the line for here. But for a novice rider, I'd recommend you get a 125cc moped, like a Honda. Honda's really good. Yamaha also makes a good scooter. Either one of those. I don't recommend a Vespa. They can be, they can need a lot more maintenance than what a Yamaha or Honda would need. I've had a Vespa way in the past, so not the bike for me. I mean, if you want a Vespa, get a Vespa, but these are just my recommendations from my experience. I've had Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Honda bikes my whole life, and I've never had an issue with any of the 3 brands. Yamaha has always been my best brand. Kawasaki's right up there, and Honda as well. I've really had no issues with any of the bikes I've ever bought. As far as the MT-15 goes, it's a pretty uncomfortable bike with a passenger. Even with the full backpack, you start to get the nut crushing on the gas tank. So it's nice. If you know you're not going to ride with anyone around, it's especially a good bike. And if you want a crotch rocket feel, if you want a sport bike feel, get the R15, you know? Or you can get, you know, Suzuki makes like a 150, Honda makes a 150. There's a CB 150 that's really cheap. Secondhand bikes, yeah, they're okay, but they usually go for, if it's a sports bike or like my bike, it goes close to what it costs new. So, I mean, for 10 million more, you can just get a new one. You know, my bike sells anywhere used from 75 to 80 million. And I paid like 88 for mine, 86 I want to say. So these are just things that I'm advising you that I've learned from being here. It's definitely going to be key that you make a Vietnamese friend. I think you can do these things all on your own, but it's going to be 10 times as hard. It's nice to have a Vietnamese friend too, because they can go with you if there's a problem. They can go with you to the tech com. They can go with you to get the driver's license. So the next thing we're going to talk about is when you finally find a permanent residency. So when you've got a place you're going to stay at for more than a month, you need to make sure that they register you with the police, or that you register your location with the police. It's part of what you're supposed to do here when you move here. So if you stay at a Vin Homes, they'll get the paperwork from you within your first 5 days of moving in, and they'll take it to the police and take care of all that for you. So there's lots of pros on the why I like Vin Homes. We can go into that a little bit. People are like, you can get such a cheaper apartment. Yeah, you can. You really can. The parking's not going to be as great. It's going to have thin walls. You're going to hear your neighbors. If you're in an expat building, you're going to hear expats boning other chicks. You're going to have maybe a karaoke guy next door that decides he wants to karaoke at 3 a.m. You're going to have a whole host of issues with that cheaper apartment that in the long run won't be worth it, you know? I'm in the process of negotiating my rent down. If he doesn't want to play ball game, then I'll just move. I can get another Golden River for like 18 million now, 17.75. And I can break out of my lease because there's a clause in it that if a natural disaster occurs, I get my deposit back and I can amicably walk away. So that's a big thing with the lease. We talked about it last video, but try to get a 6-month lease, especially now. You know, it used to be easy to get a 6-month lease here, but try to get a 6-month lease. Don't let them force you into a year. Try to only do 1 month down deposit too. There's no need for a 2-month down deposit. I paid one at my place because they were just playing hardball, and it was a nice apartment at the time. This is pre-COVID. You know, there wasn't many top 2 floor apartments, just inventory wise. Now there's a bunch of inventory because most people have just moved out if the landlord hasn't lowered the rent. Oh, hold on, I got water on the screen. I'll be right back. All right, I don't know where we were at, but here's another thing that you need to know. So before, if you had a tourist visa for 1 year, right? Every 90 days you need to redo your stamp. And it was not a border run. You just technically had to go to the visa place and get your stamp redone. Now it's every 30 days. So hold on, we got water on the lens again. So now it's starting to like lightly rain. So we're on my favorite street, the cleanest street in Saigon, Wind Walking Street. So yeah, now you have to redo it every 30 days. So wherever you're staying, you can travel all around, it's not a problem. You don't have to do a border run. You just go to the local visa agency, department, not agency, the government visa department, and with $10 you get a new stamp. So make sure you take care of that. If you overstay your stamp, if you do it for a long time, if you fuck up and like forget for a couple months, it's gonna cost you like $900 to fix that shit. It's cost a lot to fix that stamp if you mess it up. So be cognitive of that stamp. Somebody told me today that Japan, you can get a teaching visa for 9 years, which I haven't confirmed that yet, but wow, that's a good option. I mean, if that's true. And Japan isn't as expensive as everyone thinks. Yeah, sure, you could blow $5,000 a month there. You could blow $5,000 a month here too if you wanted to. But if you got a tiny little apartment in Tokyo and not the greatest area, not like Shinjuku or one of those very popular touristy areas, you can live cheaper and you could probably get by for like $1,500, $2,000 a month. So I think we've covered enough for today's video. I don't know what we're gonna do for 4. Make sure you drop comments on what you want to see me talk about, and then we'll cover that on round number 4, and we'll see what happens on that one. So I hope you guys find this information useful. I put a lot of thought into this one. It takes me about an hour of sitting before I shoot a video like this to think of the stuff I want to cover and make sure I don't miss anything. So if you want to hit the subscription button, go ahead and do that for me. If not, no big deal. Have a good day, morning, afternoon, weekend, weekday, Stay frosty, stay healthy, wear your mask. Peace out.